If you have been following the channel or me over on X for well over, a few years, going all the way back to 2021, my overall thought process on how we usher in the new financial system based on blockchain-based technology has always been the same. And it is right here from my post going all the way back to 2021, pretty much outlined perfectly. And we're going to be talking about this. We have to address it. In this video, I am going to be talking about a lot of information. So definitely sit back, relax, make sure that the posture is straight because we have a lot of information to go over. So welcome to the channel, everyone. My name is Nick. For those that are new to the channel, hopefully by the end of this video, you do become a subscriber. So going all the way back to November of 2021, my thought process has not changed. I said a lot of people don't want to accept it, but for a new system to be ushered in, the old one must collapse. A systemic shock is boiling up for the global economy, and the US continues to let the fuse burn by inflating the US dollar. Crypto will rise as we march into a digital revolution. And even over here, more recently, going all the way back to June 3rd, where a report came out saying that the FDIC just reported that 63 banks are on the brink of insolvent collapse. I quoted this and I said, history doesn't repeat, it rhymes. What's happening is going to make 2008 look small. I said it back in March of last year when banks first started to collapse, and I repeated it over and over again into this year too. The banking crisis is only just beginning. This will continue to snowball into a much larger issue, but that's the plan. We are witnessing the consolidation of all major banks so that the big banks like JP Morgan, Citi, Bank of America, etc. can eat their lunch. This is also forging the path to the full systemic reset, which I have outlined on many occasions. Okay, now with this in mind, let's look at a few things happening right now. Number one, US debt. It just hit $36 trillion, a new all-time record. The US national debt has crossed $36 trillion just months after surpassing $35 trillion in July. It's doubling down on its title as the biggest debtor nation in history. Key drivers: rising interest payments, ballooning Social Security and Medicare cost, and widening budget deficits. Federal interest spending now exceeds defense and Medicare budgets. Economists warn that the debt could hit 106% of GDP by 2027, smashing World War II era records. And this is very concerning. Listen, this is a debt crisis. Whether or not you want to try spinning this any other way, we are in the middle of a debt crisis within the US, which is definitely a ticking time bomb globally, as the dollar is still the reserve currency. Now, as this does, get pushed, what else are we seeing? Well, over here, breaking news: Texas proposes gold and silver-backed currencies to compete with fiat money. Now we are talking. Gold and silver-backed currency would be redeemable in specie or at spot price of gold in US dollars minus applicable fees. Now, what's crazy about this is we know that Texas was starting to push this a little bit earlier, back in like the beginning of the year. Many nations around the world are actually pushing for gold-backed currencies. I do think that this is going to continue to become a big deal. I mean, central banks have been accumulating massive amounts of gold, historical amounts of gold, over the last couple of years. And I think that this is only going to continue, especially as gold becomes a much bigger piece of the global financial system. I think that as we usher into the digital age, we are going to see gold-backed digital currencies as well, which we'll talk about. But over here, we have in my conversation with Judy Shelton, who served as an economic advisor to President Trump during his last presidency. The U.S. should combine the strengths of gold-backed systems with blockchain technology's benefits, integrate stablecoins into future advancements. The United States should establish Treasury trust bonds as a gold convertible instrument. The Federal Reserve should not create a central bank digital currency. This is what monetary integrity looks like. Check this out.
I think we want to harness the good features and the good economic performance that occurred historically under gold-anchored systems with the benefits of blockchain technology, bring the innovation of stablecoins and cryptocurrencies into the advancements that we could potentially make. I'm very much against the Federal Reserve having a central bank digital currency. I trust the private sector, because I think they will keep more in mind the priorities of the individual and to safeguard that economic liberty. I would like to see a way to reconcile the interest of people in an alternative currency based on decentralized finance, with the value of having the world's reserve currency. That's why I say we could, to me, doing the Treasury trust bond idea, and I should probably end here, but that I do discuss at length in the book, is a way to signal pursuing the idea that Ronald Reagan expressed back in the 80s when he said, unless we have some kind of gold backing for the dollar, we can never really get our hands on inflation. And he said, my goal as president will be to make the dollar the most trusted currency in the world. And I hope our next president will take that to heart and pursue it using the cutting edge technologies, very exciting, that are being advanced today.
And this is exactly what is happening. Listen, blockchain based technology is becoming adopted around the entire world. We talk about XRP, we talk about Ripple quite a bit because Ripple has been at the forefront of this change, for well over a decade now, utilizing the XRP ledger and XRP. But gold-backed currencies are going to play a big role. In fact, there was a document talking about this where we have essentially tokenized gold, where you could fractionalize it into a specified weight, and they revalue gold so that specified weight has a specific value tied to it, and then you back central bank digital currencies or digital currencies, by that gold. Now, these would be, in terms of central bank digital currencies, retail wouldn't be touching central bank digital currencies. They will be the reserve currencies that these nations use for certain transactions. They will be the private-based money. Public-based money will be stablecoins. And I find it very interesting when we start to hear talks about, the Federal Reserve should not create a central bank digital currency, but we should have stablecoins. Guys, they're both the same exact thing. The only difference is that one is issued out by the Federal Reserve, the other one is issued out by private-based companies, but they're still programmable. These currencies are still programmable regardless of who is issuing them. But that's how I foresee it, right? Retail will have stablecoins. The central banks will still have their central bank digital currencies. All of it will be backed by fractionalized gold. And this is all through, the digital-based financial system. Now, also over here, we have something that many missed the past week. The United States Treasury is warning about potential risks to international financial stability and economic security from new cross-border payment systems. Here comes BRICS. The majority have stopped laughing at this economic block. Now, the BRICS have been accelerating this move towards a digital-based financial system. But I have always outlined on this channel that the BRICS are a big psyop. A lot of people have been looking at the BRICS as a, big player to kill the dollar and ultimately, destroy the United States financial system. But that's not the case. What the BRICS are doing is they are accelerating the digital move. This is all by plan. It has been by plan. I've outlined this going all the way back to March 2022 when we announced the sanctions against the BRICS. The next day, we had Executive Order 14067, which did introduce a US-based CBDC. It did start the overall development and the research phase of a central bank digital currency because guess what? They knew what was going to happen. They knew that the BRICS nation, specifically Russia, was going to start to innovate utilizing digital-based currencies and technology. And of course, the US already has their blockchain-based financial system, essentially, which is FedNow. This is a breeding ground of the next generation of financial technology. How do we know? Because the FedNow service can integrate third-party players that do utilize blockchain-based or DLT technology. This is already that new, financial system essentially in the US. The FedNow service is the big introduction to the digital financial revolution in the US. Now, also, on top of this, remember that the US has already been meeting with some very big players like Ripple and Stellar, two US-based companies in the blockchain space. This goes all the way back to April of 2024 this year. Ripple and Stellar, the US Department of Treasury. Now, I believe that Algorand was here as well. Circle was here, and also Chainlink. But this happened back in April. This was at a roundtable discussion alongside Nellie Liang, Undersecretary for Domestic Finance, US Department of Treasury. And these were the discussions. Discussion on the technical and regulatory requirements for upgrading the legacy capabilities of central bank money. exploring the potential implications for consumers, investors, and businesses. They also delved into a long-term vision for the integration of CBDCs, tokenization, and stablecoins into the broader US financial ecosystem, including potential benefits for economic growth and resilience. So listen, the US has already been planning ahead. They have been preparing for this. Now, how do we officially get, the old financial system collapsed, and how do we officially get the big reset? Well, the elites have been planning this for a while. We've been hearing a lot about Chinese hackers and the cyber war that's happening, right? For an example, breaking Chinese hackers are ready for cyber war. US cyber officials warn Beijing's hackers are deep in critical systems, power grids, water supplies, even telecoms, ready to flip the switch if conflict sparks. Dubbed Salt Typhoon, they've stolen call data, breached campaigns, and can disrupt anything from server cooling to energy flows. Think nuclear dystopia, but digital, not just stolen identities, but the ability to cripple power grids, paralyze cities, and disrupt entire infrastructures. The US is fighting back, but the system's already compromised. The question is, how prepared is the US for a digital battlefield? And listen, we've been hearing a lot of these. It's almost like fear mongering around these cyber attacks, but remember who's been pushing this. Here you have January of 2023 from the World Economic Forum, one of the biggest elite organizations out there that really kind of control everything. Geopolitical instability raises threat of catastrophic cyber attack in the next 2 years. Guys, this was back in 2023. So it feels as though 2025 is the year where we get a big cyber attack that's going to cripple systems. It's going to be catastrophic. They even say here that 93% of cybersecurity experts and 86% of business leaders believe global geopolitical instability is likely to lead to a catastrophic cyber attack in the next 2 years. Very interesting. Now also, the World Economic Forum has been calling for a cyber pandemic. It's going to be a cyber attack that is much bigger and much worse than COVID. But they've also been really kind of hinting at cyber attacks for a while. This goes back to May of this year. Global financial stability at risk due to cyber attacks. The IMF is warning as well. Here's what to know. And even within this, we have cyber attacks in the financial sector pose a serious threat to global financial stability. The financial sector is uniquely exposed to cyber risk, and resulting losses could cause major disruptions. Cyber incidents could threaten financial institutions' operational resilience and adversely affect overall macro financial stability. So again, this is the IMF, another elite organization essentially tied back to the World Economic Forum, saying, hey, we got to prepare for, these cyber threats. There's going to be a cyber attack, and it's going to be very big. But also remember what these big players have been calling for. Here's the BIS, the Central Bank of Central Banks, back in October of 2023, by the way. Project Polaris, high-level design guide for offline payments based around CBDCs. This is all digital. And even in here, they do talk about alternative ways utilizing new age technology, using blockchain, DLT. And a lot of people will say like, oh, well, blockchain and DLT, once the power goes out, they're gone. Guys, a lot of these networks can still run off of radio, transmission. So when we think about it, it's not all based around power. It's not all based around, electricity. Even radio frequencies can still allow these networks to continue to trade, continue to, be live and process these payments. But why are they preparing for offline payments? Even the IMF, September of 2022, taking digital currencies offline. Why have they been preparing for this? Well, it's because they are also preparing for a cyber attack that's going to, completely bring systems to a halt. So if we're thinking about this, if the elites have been pushing for a cyber attack that's going to bring about one of the biggest catastrophic events in history, and now they're pushing for digital currencies that are going to be offline as well, doesn't that take us back to my original thought process here where, they're going to reset everything? The best way to do this is collapse the old system. We see a cyber attack that brings everything to a halt, and when systems come back online, they're all based on DLT without us even realizing it, without us even knowing it. Blockchain immediately tapped in. DLT immediately tapped in. Mass adoption immediately tapped in. This is exactly how I am really kind of seeing this becoming a reality. And it will basically force everyone onto the system too. So they completely, get around the whole, individuals saying, oh, I'm not going to use that, denying to use it, it completely finds a way around all of that, and everyone's immediately on the system. So with that being said, let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you guys did enjoy this video, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.